The refugee station called Haven 9 floated alone near a broken star. Its metal halls were old, patched many times, and always cold. Ships came and went, but hope rarely stayed. Most beings who arrived here were running from war, sickness, or extinction. The alien mother moved slowly through the main corridor. Her back was bent, and her steps were weak, but her arms were strong as she held her daughter close. The child was light, too light for her age. Her skin had lost its glow, and her breathing was shallow. Each step the mother took felt heavier than the last. Her species was called the Lyran. They were peaceful, emotional, and rare. Long ago, stronger empires had pushed them aside. Now, only a few remained, scattered and unwanted. The Lyran survived through a special bond. Without it, their bodies slowly failed. For her daughter, time was running out. The mother stopped in front of a group of tall reptilian aliens. They wore clean armor and spoke in sharp voices. Taking a deep breath, she lowered herself and bowed. "Please," she said in a soft voice. "My daughter is dying. She needs a bond to live. Will one of you accept her?"
The reptilians pulled back in shock.
One of them hissed in anger. "You dare ask us," he said.
Your kind is weak. Bonding with you brings risk and shame.
"Leave us." The mother bowed again, even lower this time, but they had already turned away. She stood slowly, hiding her tears, and continued walking. At the medical wing, she asked again. "At the trade hall," she begged again. At every place where powerful beings gathered, she repeated the same question. Each time the answer was the same, no. Some laughed. Some showed fear. Others acted like she was invisible. Her daughter stirred in her arms. "Mother, it's okay," the girl whispered. "You don't have to." "Yes, I do," the mother said quickly. "I will not stop." They reached the security level near the docking bays. This area was guarded by humans. Many species avoided humans. They were new to the galaxy, loud, emotional, and unpredictable. Stories about them spread fast, and most were dark. The mother hesitated. Humans were not considered compatible with anyone. Their biology was strange. Their minds were intense. Many thought them dangerous, but she had no other path left. A single human stood near the wall, wearing dark armor marked with symbols of Earth's defense force. His helmet was off. He looked tired, his face lined with old stress. But his eyes were alert. He was watching the crowd, not judging, just observing. The mother's legs shook as she approached him. The human noticed her immediately and straightened. "Ma'am," he said, surprised. "Are you okay? Do you need medical help?" His voice was calm, not cruel. That alone made her chest tighten. She swallowed and slowly lowered herself to the ground in front of him. "I beg you," she said, her voice breaking. "Will you mate with my daughter?" The corridor went silent. Every nearby being stopped and stared. The human froze, his face turned pale. What?" he said.
"I know it is wrong to ask," she continued quickly. "I know humans see us as strange."
"But my daughter will die without a bond. I have asked everyone." "No one will help us, please." The girl in her arms tried to hide her face, ashamed and afraid. The human looked around. He could feel the eyes on him, feel the tension building like a storm. His training told him to step back, call a superior, end the situation. This was not his responsibility. But something in the mother's voice stopped him. He knelt down slowly so he was at eye level with them. "Hey," he said gently.
"I need you to explain, what do you mean by mate?" The mother looked confused.
"A life bond," she said. "Emotional and biological. No ownership. No control. Only trust. Without it, her body cannot survive." The human breathed out slowly.
"So, This isn't about physical things? No, the mother said quickly.
It is about survival, about sharing strength, about choosing to stay. The human looked at the girl. She was shaking, her eyes dull with pain, but still aware. She met his gaze for a moment, then looked away. "What's your name?" he asked her. "Sayela," she whispered. "I'm Aaron," he said. "I'm human." Other aliens began whispering loudly now. "This is madness. Humans are unstable. He'll hurt them." Aaron could hear it all. He stood up and faced the crowd. "Back off," he said firmly. "This is not entertainment." The authority in his voice surprised even himself. He turned back to the mother. "I can't promise anything," he said.
I don't even know if this is possible, but I won't ignore you.
Tears filled the mother's eyes. That is more than anyone else has given. Medical staff arrived after someone reported the scene. They took Sayela for scans while the mother waited in fear. Aaron stayed nearby, asking questions, reading data, ignoring the warnings sent to his wrist display. Human Command messaged him repeatedly. "Do not engage. Unknown biological risk. Await orders." He muted them. Hours passed. Doctors argued. Scientists ran tests. No one could explain why, but human biology showed potential compatibility. Not perfect. Not safe, but possible. The lead doctor approached Aaron. "If you proceed," she said, "you may suffer permanent changes, psychological and physical." Aaron nodded. "Will it save her?" "Yes," the doctor said slowly. "Most likely." He looked through the glass at Sayala. She lay still, machines humming softly around her. Her mother stood beside her, holding her hand and praying in a language long forgotten by the galaxy. Aaron thought of Earth, of how humans were always told they were too emotional, too reckless, too soft. Maybe that was exactly what was needed. "I'll do it," he said. The bond process was quiet. No lights. No drama. Just presence. Aaron sat beside Sayela, holding her hand as instructed. He focused on staying calm, steady, open. He felt strange warmth spread through his chest, like something ancient waking up. Sayela gasped softly. Color returned to her skin. Her breathing deepened. The monitors began to change. "Stabilizing," a doctor whispered. The mother covered her mouth, tears falling freely now. Hours later, Sayela opened her eyes fully. She looked at Aaron. Really looked at him this time. "You stayed," she said. "Yes," he replied. "I'm not going anywhere." Across the station, rumors spread like wildfire. The human didn't walk away. The bond worked. The impossible had begun. And for the first time in a long while, Haven, 9, felt a little warmer. The news did not stay quiet for long. By the next cycle, Haven, 9 was buzzing with whispers. Screens in public halls replayed blurry footage of the bonding chamber. Medical reports leaked. Names spread. The words human compatibility appeared in places they had never been before. Aaron sat alone in a small observation room. His armor lay on the floor beside him. He felt tired in a way he had never felt before, not in his muscles, but deep in his mind. There was a soft pressure in his chest, like a second heartbeat that did not fully belong to him. On the other side of the thick glass wall, Sayela slept peacefully. For the first time in years, her body was stable. The alien mother, Lerai, stood near the bed, afraid to move, as if any sound might break the miracle. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but her face looked lighter, freer. "You saved her," Lerai said quietly when Aaron stepped into the room. Aaron shook his head. "She's still fighting." "I just stayed." Lerai bowed deeply. "You did what an entire galaxy refused to do." Doctors and scientists continued to monitor the bond. Every scan showed the same impossible result. The human nervous system had adapted, creating a stable emotional feedback loop with Saila's biology. Where other species caused rejection, humans created balance. This should not work, one scientist muttered.
Humans are chaotic. Yes, another replied softly, but chaos is not always destruction.
Not everyone agreed. High Command was furious. A holographic projection of a human admiral appeared in front of Aaron later that day. The man's face was tight with controlled anger. "You violated direct orders," the admiral said. "You exposed yourself to unknown alien biology. You caused a diplomatic incident." Aaron stood straight. "Permission to speak freely, sir." "You're already doing that," the admiral snapped. "She was dying," Aaron said. "No one else would help. The bond is stable." "There is no threat." The admiral stared at him for a long moment. "You are not a hero. You are a liability." "Then court-martial me," Aaron replied calmly. "But don't break the bond." Silence followed. Finally, the admiral exhaled. "We are sending observers. Until then, you are confined to the station." The projection vanished. Aaron expected to feel fear. Instead, he felt something else. Resolve. Sayela woke later that day. This time, she was strong enough to sit up. She looked around the room slowly, as if seeing the world again for the first time. "You are still here," she said when she saw Aaron. He smiled. "Told you."
She studied him with careful curiosity. "I was taught humans are loud and cruel."
"That you take what you want." Aaron leaned back in his chair. "Some do. Some don't. Same as everyone else. Sayela thought about this. You chose us." "Yes. Why?" "Because someone should." The bond deepened over the following days. It was not romantic. It was not ownership. It was presence. When Sayela felt afraid, Aaron sensed it like an echo. When Aaron grew tired or stressed, Sayela's emotions softened, grounding him. Doctors watched in silence, recording everything. Other aliens watched too. Some with fear, some with anger, some with hope. Representatives from major species demanded access to the data. They wanted control, regulation, limits. "The human must be removed," one ambassador said. "This sets a dangerous example." "For whom?" Lyrae asked quietly.
For those who refuse to help?
Security increased around Sayla's room. Threats were made. Protests formed. Some called the bond unnatural. Others called it proof that the galaxy had been wrong about humans all along. Aaron noticed the change in how people looked at him. Some avoided his eyes. Others bowed slightly when they passed. Sayela noticed, too. "Are you in danger?" she asked him one evening. He considered lying. He didn't. "Maybe." She reached out and gently touched his arm. "Then, I will stand with you." The words sent a strange warmth through him. The first real test came when a delegation of powerful aliens arrived without warning. They demanded Sayla be transferred to a research facility. For her own good, they claimed. Aaron stood in front of the door. "No," he said. "You are one human," the lead delegate said coldly.
You do not decide this. Aaron's voice did not rise.
"She does." Sayla stepped forward, her posture steady, her eyes clear. "I choose to remain bonded," she said. "I choose him." The room fell silent. No one had expected the girl to speak with such strength. The delegation withdrew, angry but cautious. That night, Lyrae approached Aaron as he watched the stars through a station window. "My people once believed bonds were our weakness," she said. "Now I see it was our strength. Others were just afraid of it." Aaron nodded. Humans get that. Sayla joined them, leaning against the glass. What happens now? She asked. Aaron looked at the stars, at the endless dark beyond them. Now the galaxy decides what to do with the truth. Far away, messages spread. Other rare species began to travel toward Haven. 9. Mothers, fathers, mothers, children, all carrying the same silent hope. And somewhere deep inside Aaron, he knew one thing clearly. This was only the beginning. Heaven. 9 changed faster than anyone expected. Ships began arriving every day. Some were small and broken, held together by hope more than metal. Others were clean, powerful, and full of officials who wore calm faces and sharp words. The station corridors filled with new voices, new languages, and the same quiet fear. They all came for one reason: the human bond. Aaron felt it before anyone told him. The pressure in his chest shifted whenever a bonded species entered the station. It was not pain, it was awareness. Like standing in a room where emotions left faint echoes on the walls. Sayla felt it too. "They are like us," she said softly, as they watched a group of thin, pale aliens step off a transport ship. "They are sick. They hide it well, but I can feel it." Medical teams were overwhelmed. New species were tested. Most were incompatible with each other. But when human volunteers were quietly added to the data, patterns began to appear. Not perfect compatibility, but enough. Enough to save lives. Human Command tried to slow it down. They issued statements about caution, ethics, and control. They warned about unknown risks and political consequences, but the data kept spreading, and the refugees kept arriving. You could not unsave a life. Aaron was called to another meeting. This time, it was not just humans on the screen. Alien leaders appeared as glowing shapes, sharp silhouettes, and living light. The chamber felt heavy with authority. "You have caused instability," one leader said. "Entire species are now looking to humans as solutions." Aaron stood still.
"They looked to you first. Silence followed. You are creating dependence,"
another voice said. "No," Aaron replied. "We're creating choice." The leaders did not like that answer. After the meeting, Aaron felt the bond pull tight. Sayla was afraid. He found her in the quiet garden dome, standing among artificial trees. She looked small there, but she did not run when she saw him.
"They talked about separating us," she said. Aaron's jaw tightened.
"They can't. Not without harming you. They might not care," she replied calmly. That scared him more than panic would have. "They won't touch you," he said. "I won't allow it." Sayla looked up at him. "You cannot fight the entire galaxy." "I don't have to," he said. "I just have to stand." The bond between them shifted again that night. It grew clearer, deeper. Aaron began to understand her emotions without effort. Not words. Feelings. Fear had a taste. Hope had weight. Trust felt warm and steady. Sayla began to sense him too. His stubbornness. His quiet anger. His exhaustion.
"You carry so much," she said one night as he sat by her bed. "Humans pretend they do not."
"We don't pretend,"
he replied.
"We just keep moving." The first tragedy happened 3 days later. A young bonded alien from another species collapsed during transit. The human volunteer linked to them was too far away. The bond weakened. Systems failed. Sayla felt it happen. She cried out, gripping her chest. Aaron caught her before she fell.
He's trying, but he's scared. Aaron made a decision without thinking.
He ran. Security tried to stop him. Doctor shouted. Orders were given. Aaron ignored them all. He reached the medical bay just in time. The alien child was barely breathing. The human volunteer stood frozen, overwhelmed by fear and guilt.
Sit down, Aaron ordered. What? The man said.
Sit. Now. Aaron took the alien's hand. He closed his eyes and focused, not on strength, but on calm, on presence, on the simple choice to stay. The bond reacted. Monitors spiked, then steadied. The child gasped and began to breathe. The room went silent. Aaron staggered back, dizzy. Sila's voice echoed faintly in his mind, steadying him. You are not alone. After that, there was no denying it. Humans were not just compatible. They were anchors. The galaxy reacted the only way it knew how, with fear. Restrictions were proposed, laws drafted, quotas discussed. Some worlds banned human contact entirely. Others demanded exclusive access. Humans were accused of manipulation, of emotional dominance, of quietly taking control. Aaron listened to it all and felt tired.
You regret it? Sayla asked him one evening. He shook his head. I regret that it took suffering for them to see. The pressure came to a breaking point when a military fleet arrived near Haven. 9.
Not hostile, officially, but armed. The message was clear. Control this, or we will. Lyrae stood beside Aaron as they watched the ships on the screen. Once, my people ran, she said. We survived, but we lost ourselves. She looked at him. What will humans do? Aaron thought of Earth, of history, of mistakes, and courage. We'll argue, he said. We'll fight each other. We'll mess it up a dozen times.
She smiled faintly. But, we won't abandon them.
Sayla stepped forward. Then let me speak. The broadcast reached farther than anyone expected. Sayla stood before the cameras, small but steady, her voice clear. You fear humans because they feel deeply, she said. You call that weakness. But it is why I live. She paused, letting the silence work. My mother begged you. You turned away. One human stayed, not to own me, not to use me, to stay. Images followed. Data. Lives saved. Children breathing. You fear dependence, Sayla continued. But the bond does not take freedom. It creates it.
Across the galaxy, people watched. Some turned away.
Others listened. The fleet did not fire. Instead, they waited. That was the most human victory of all. Not force. Time. That night, Aaron stood alone again by the station window. Sayla joined him quietly. You changed everything, she said. No, he replied. We did. She smiled, resting her head lightly against his arm. The bond hummed, steady and warm. Beyond Haven. 9. The galaxy was still afraid, but fear, Aaron knew, was just the first step before change. The waiting did not last. 3 days after Sayela's broadcast, the galaxy responded, not with peace, but with pressure. 9 was placed under protective oversight. That was the official phrase. In reality, it meant surveillance drones in every corridor, armed ships just outside the station, and officials who smiled while holding power tightly in their hands. Aaron felt it in the bond before anyone said a word. Something is wrong, Sayla whispered inside his mind. He was already moving. The Central Council chamber was full. Too full. Representatives from dozens of species stood in circles of light. Human command officers were there too, stiff and careful. Lyrae stood near Sayla, her posture calm but her eyes sharp. Aaron took his place beside Sayla without asking permission. A tall alien with silver skin began to speak. The situation has exceeded acceptable limits. Human bonding has destabilized long-standing biological and social structures. Aaron crossed his arms. Saving lives tends to do that. Murmurs spread through the chamber. You are not here to make jokes, the alien replied coldly. We are here to decide the future of this practice. Sayla stepped forward. You mean decide how to control it? The alien's eyes narrowed. You are a dependent subject. This discussion is beyond you. The bond flared. Aaron felt Sayla's anger, sharp and focused. Not fear, not weakness.
She is the reason you're even having this discussion, Aaron said. You don't get to silence her.
A human general cleared her throat. Enough. We're here to avoid escalation. But escalation had already arrived. The proposal was simple and cruel. All bonded aliens would be relocated to controlled facilities. Human participants would be rotated, monitored, and restricted. Bonds would be treated as resources, not relationships.
It is for stability, the Council insisted. It is for control, the Array replied quietly.
Sayela's hands trembled, not with fear, but with effort. You want to turn something living into a system, she said.
That will kill it. You are emotional, one voice said dismissively.
Yes, Sayela answered. And alive? The vote was called. Before it could finish, alarms blared across the station. Unknown vessels had jumped into range. Not one fleet. Many. Independent ships. Civilian transports. Refugee carriers, old military craft from forgotten wars. They filled the space around Haven 9 like a living shield. A message came through on open channels.
We are here to stand witness.
Another followed.
You will not take them. Then another.
If you force this, you force us all. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Aaron felt something break. Not the bond, but the illusion that this could be contained.
This is rebellion!
Someone shouted. No, Aaron said calmly. This is community. Human Command tried to regain control, but even they looked shaken. This was bigger than politics now. Bigger than treaties. The council delayed the vote. That night, Haven 9 felt like a held breath. Security forces moved through corridors. Refugees huddled together. Humans and aliens shared food, stories, silence. Aaron sat with Sayela and Lyre in their small living space.
They may still try to take you, Aaron said quietly.
Sayla met his eyes.
Then I will refuse.
They could use force.
Then they will show the galaxy who they really are. Lyre reached out and placed a hand over both of theirs. Whatever happens, you gave my daughter a future. Aaron swallowed.
I don't know how to protect her from this. Sayla squeezed his hand. You already are.
By standing where you stand. The next move came sooner than expected. A task force arrived at Sayela's door. They were polite, armed, final.
Sayela of the Lyran, the lead officer said. You are ordered to come with us for your own safety.
She did not move. Aaron stepped forward. She's not going anywhere. This is not a request, the officer replied. Sayela felt the bond tighten, not painfully, but clearly. She could feel Aaron's fear now, raw and real. She stepped around him. I will go, she said. Aaron turned sharply. Sayela, listen, she said softly, aloud and through the bond.
You taught me something important.
She faced the officers.
I will go.
But not as your subject. They hesitated. She continued.
I will speak. I will be seen.
And if you silence me, the galaxy will know. The officers exchanged looks. Orders came through their earpieces. Reluctant, they nodded. Aaron walked beside her every step of the way. The chamber was larger this time. Broadcast to every major system. Sayla stood at the center, small against the vast space. You fear what you cannot control, she said. You always have. Images appeared behind her, records of species that had been ignored, isolated, erased.
You call humans dangerous because they feel too much, she continued. But it was feeling that saved me. She looked directly into the camera.
You want to separate us because unity frightens you.
She reached out and took Aaron's hand. This bond is not ownership.
It is choice every day.
Silence filled the chamber. Then something unexpected happened. A voice joined the broadcast. Then another. Bonded aliens. Human volunteers. Refugees. Doctors.
Soldiers.
They spoke, one by one. I chose this.
I am alive because of this. You do not get to decide my worth.
The council tried to cut the feed. It failed. Too many relays. Too many witnesses. The task force withdrew. The fleets outside Haven, 9, did not leave. They stayed, not to attack, to watch. Hours later, the council issued a temporary ruling. No forced separations. No relocation without consent. Further study under shared oversight was not victory, but it was survival. Aaron felt his knees weaken when it was over. Sayla caught him this time. You okay? She asked softly. He laughed once, shaky.
Yeah, I think so.
She smiled. Good. Because the hard part isn't over. He looked at her, curious. She looked out toward the stars.
Now the galaxy has to live with what it knows. And for the first time since this began, Aaron felt something new settle into the bond. Not tension.
Not fear. Expectation. The galaxy had pushed. Humanity, and those who chose them, had pushed back. And neither side would ever be the same again. The galaxy did not calm down after Haven Been 9. It changed, slowly at first, like ice cracking under quiet pressure. Then faster, as truth spread farther than fear ever could. Months passed. Heaven. 9 was no longer just a refugee station. It became a meeting place, a neutral ground. Species that had never spoken before now shared corridors, food halls, and long conversations late into artificial nights. Humans were everywhere, not as rulers, not as saviors, but as people who stayed. Aaron was no longer just a soldier. He did not wear armor most days now. He wore simple clothes and spent his time helping coordinate bonds, talking to scared volunteers, and calming families who had traveled across stars with nothing but hope. The bond with Sayla had changed again. It was no longer fragile. It was steady. Sayla grew stronger every day. Her steps were sure. Her voice carried confidence. She studied law, diplomacy, and history, especially human history. She wanted to understand how a species so flawed could still choose compassion again and again. Lyrae watched her daughter with quiet pride. You gave her more than life, Lyrae said to Aaron one evening.
You gave her a voice. Aaron shook his head. She found that herself. The first official council decision came 1 year after the bond began.
Human-alien bonding was recognized as voluntary, protected, and equal under galactic law. There were conditions, safeguards, endless debates. But one thing was clear. No one could force separation. Some worlds rejected the ruling. They closed borders. They banned humans. And the galaxy learned something else about humanity. Humans respected choice. They did not force entry. They walked away. That scared people more than invasion ever could. On worlds where humans were welcomed, things changed. Medical centers stabilized dying species. Emotional disorders once considered unsolvable began to heal. Wars slowed. Not because humans were stronger, but because bonded leaders could feel the cost of violence before choosing it. Bond did not make humans perfect. It made consequences clearer. Aaron stood with Sayla on a platform overlooking Haven. Nine's expanded docks. New sections of the station glowed with fresh metal and light. "Do you ever wish you had said no?" Selah asked quietly. He thought about it honestly. "No," he said.
I wish others hadn't needed someone to say yes so badly, she smiled. Humans always answer the wrong questions.
He laughed softly. Probably. There were losses, too. Not every bond worked. Some humans stepped back when they realized they were not ready. Some aliens chose to wait. A few bonds failed despite everyone's best efforts. Humanity learned humility. The galaxy learned patience. Years later, when Selah stood before the full galactic assembly, no one called her weak. She spoke calmly, clearly.
"My people were once invisible," she said. "Not because we were rare, but because we were inconvenient." She looked across the massive chamber.
"You feared humanity because they feel deeply," she continued. "But feeling is not danger."
Refusing to feel is. She gestured to the humans seated among other species. Not above them, not apart. "Humans did not conquer us," she said. "They chose us." Silence followed. Then, applause. Not loud, not sudden, real. After the session, Aaron waited outside as Selah finished speaking with delegates. When she joined him, she looked tired but happy.
"You were incredible,"
he said. She shrugged lightly. From the best, he raised an eyebrow. "Oh," she smiled. "My mother." Lyrai approached them slowly. Age had softened her movements, but her eyes were bright.
"My time is nearly done," she said gently.
Selah reached for her hand. "No." Lyrai smiled. "I am not afraid. I saw my daughter live. I saw the galaxy change. That is enough." She looked at Aaron. "Thank you for staying." Always, he thought. When Lyrai passed weeks later, the station held a quiet vigil. Humans stood beside aliens. No speeches. No banners. Just presence. Selah did not break. She grieved. But she stood. Years passed. Children were born. Some human, some alien. Some bonded in ways the galaxy was still learning to understand. New laws formed. Old hatred softened. The bond became less rare, not because it was common, but because it was accepted. Aaron grew older. Lines formed around his eyes. His hair grayed. Selah grew into a leader whose name carried weight without fear. One evening, long after the crowds had left Haven, 9 for new homes, Aaron and Selah stood together by the same window where it all began. "Do you know what they call this era now?" Selah asked. Aaron smiled faintly. "I'm almost afraid to ask." She looked at the stars. "The quiet turning?" He nodded. "Sounds about right." She leaned gently against his shoulder. The bond hummed, not loudly, not urgently. Just steady. Beyond them, the galaxy moved forward. Not perfect, not peaceful, but more honest than it had ever been. And history would remember this truth. When the universe turned away, humanity stayed, not to rule, not to consume, but to stand beside those who were alone. And that was enough to change everything.